going. Let me take you on this side. I'll grab the door on this side. Hello all. My name is Binyam. Nice to meet you. Okay. I'm glad you sent me that text. I was like, I'll know who to look for now. Question now, are we flying international or domestic?
Domestic.
With which airline?
Flair.
Flair, awesome. Cool, I'll get us there. And quick update here as well. Something unusual in my Uber that I do, I live stream. So please don't share anything that's too personal that you don't want going on the internet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. This is unusual. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever met another one that does that too, but it's a neat way to share the amazing experiences because I have so many amazing experiences in the context of my Uber. So. Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Here, let me give you my card. How's that?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then that way you'll be able to.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, well, I'm like I say, I had to think through how to do this in a way that I can protect the privacy of my riders because not everyone's inclined, and so so that's why I'm a lot more cautious and saying, here's what's going on, and just so you know, heads up.
Put this on my blog though.
Excellent. Yeah. I love it.
I'll just put
That's brilliant. Thank you guys. That's so sweet. So I know.
Wonderful service, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So Christelle and Chris.
I go by Chris.
Chris,
So
okay.
we're both Chris's, basically.
Oh my goodness.
differently.
Spelled differently. Okay. You ready for a really corny joke?
That's right.
Let's go.
Chris squared.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
Chris
Yeah.
squared.
There
I
we
think I've
go.
heard that before.
No?
I thought of that, I think. At
Did
one
you?
point.
Okay. There we are.
Thank you for saying it.
You're welcome. It sounds like you guys are good company too, so you could totally brand and rock that, right? Chris squared. Where are your travels taking you today?
We are going to Vancouver.
Cool. Is that where home is though?
No, I live here.
You live here, okay.
We just visited.
Oh, you're visiting Vancouver.
Yeah.
Pretty epic. And I anticipate it'll be far different there than
Oh
here.
yeah, rain.
Rain? Oh, you've already seen the forecast. That's awesome. I'm gonna take Center Street up because I'm imagining Deerfoot at this time is gonna be a gong show. So if we take Center Street up to 64th, it should be a faster streamline, I think. Yeah, let's do that. But we're doing good for time though, right?
Yeah.
Good.
My flight's not until 5:55.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And it's not your first time to Vancouver?
No, I used to live there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And you don't anymore.
No.
And do you miss it?
Partially, yeah.
Oh,
It's just so expensive.
I know. How long did you live there for though?
Oh, I lived there like all my life. I was born there.
Seriously? Okay, so I guess you can answer the question of like how did you make friends and peace with the constant rain?
And I make. I'm just used to the rain.
You're just used to it.
So-
Okay. So
I mean,
there's
it's not my favorite, but like I like it better than.
what our winter is, it's just extended. It's like so long,
Yeah,
right? It's
7
like,
months.
I know. It's quite a stretch. I often imagine this context and fitting them all together, but secretly it's an intervention for winter. And saying to winter, and saying to winter, listen, let's reason together. Why can't you share? Why do you have to be so selfish in the calendar year to take up so much space? Yep. But recently I've met people who really dig winter though. So they're out there.
I mean, no.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of Calgarians that I've met kind of do a collective sigh. They're like, okay, let's do this winter. But this year, like with our extended fall, that was pretty epic, right?
It was.
I think
was like no snow until like November. That's
like mid-November too at that, right? Usually like we're waiting for at least Halloween, right?
yeah,
If we can
usually
just
Halloween starts snowing.
yeah, if we can get at least Halloween, then we're like content. But it kept on going after.
And then no. Well, it
And
is
then
always supposed to be close.
you're one of
We
those,
just have
yeah.
it for Christmas.
Yep.
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that's fine.
Although days like today, with a hoarfrost, that was like on the left here, you'll definitely see it. Like that's pretty epic there. And then there's streets that have like the canopy of the trees. It's just
I
picturesque.
would say, yeah, it is pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the part where it gets slushy and slippery the
And
part
wet,
that's not
yeah. Okay, so here's two awful options. I'll confess they're just awful. If you could have a moderate winter versus 2 months of extreme cold, which would you choose?
Extreme cold.
Extreme cold? Just get it over with.
Just
I'm just gonna stay in my house.
I'm used to that. I'm used to staying inside, so like 2 months, no biggie.
Yeah, that's just 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, yeah.
2 months.
Probably agree.
Okay. Would you say the same if it was 3 months of extreme cold?
3 months. Another extra month.
I know.
I'm hesitating.
I feel like I'm
hesitating. Yeah.
It's not that I'm bartering. It's not like what would you take? Yeah. I grew up in Kamloops,
Oh, okay.
so just
Kamloops.
up the street from and I always drove down to Vancouver, and I was like amazed at how luscious it is. That's what I loved, like driving down there and seeing the thick vegetation on the side of the highway. I was like, this is really beautiful. I will give you that. And you have the waterfronts. I think if Calgary had an ocean,
Oh, yeah.
it would be unbeatable, right? It'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Who needs Vancouver? There's an ocean here.
And
Okay, I think that's all people go to Vancouver for. Is the
now we
ocean.
come to the point, okay. I mean, yeah, they have mountains for sure. The only thing is, like, in contrast to here, the mountains, the way I say it is mountains, there invade your personal space. Whereas here, the mountains, you can actually go to when you are inclined to going and having it invade your personal space, right? That's what I was thinking. But yeah, what I fell in love with out here was how much sky there is. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
mind-blowing. It's like amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed too, like, because I'm from the Philippines.
Oh, no way, okay, yeah.
I've only been living here for like a year.
Okay,
And like when I visited Calgary
Yeah.
for the first time,
Yeah.
I was like,
so true.
It's
So
just
true. In a
constant
bright way.
Gray and rain in Vancouver.
That's what I was asking about earlier. I'm like, I've heard about what that does to so many people by way of just their temperament, their mood, and their, and I'm not sure. Like, I get that some people may be able to be impervious to that. I just don't know if I'm one of those. If I were, then I'd be like, well, yeah, then that would be amazing, right? The other thing I love about Calgary is how the sky meets the horizon with the mountains. Like, that's
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. I take those pictures a lot.
yeah, in scale versus like straight up close. And being straight up close, it only takes like an hour to drive to, right? It's like, here we are, right? So that I think origins.
Was there
So
like a Northern Lights 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago, it was kind of cloudy though. Or are you talking when we had a sunny day?
I don't know. I was like, I remember like right before bed, I thought I was like seeing the Northern Lights, but it also looked like fog too. So
Oh.
it was also both.
Most likely. I would have heard, and pictures would have been all over Facebook,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah. So it's rare for us to see this Northern Lights here,
Yeah.
but if you're out in the country, it's far more possible.
Or if you live in like not the downtown.
Yeah. See, I live blocks away from you guys as well. I'm just
Oh,
over
yeah?
on 15th, and
Yeah, it's you can't see it here, unfortunately.
which side are you guys facing? Are you facing the city side
South.
or south? Okay, then as well. So I love that. At one point in the future, when I can afford it, I'll get like something high enough where I can see not only the city skyline, but the mountains in behind. That would be killer, right? Yeah. One day. One day when I get corrupt and make lots of money and no, that would be amazing. So when did you move to Calgary then, Chris?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
versus-
yeah, I know. Sorry, from Vancouver I meant. Because you've been here for a year, you said.
Oh, I actually live in Lethbridge.
Oh, you don't say?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Lethbridge, so
I have questions for you then.
Yeah.
But when did you move here from
I
Vancouver?
moved here 2 years ago. Like,
2 years ago.
around this month.
And
But,
it was a difficult decision, it sounds like.
it was a blizzard
Ooh,
when I came in. Yeah,
oh,
it was great.
That is
I was so
unfortunate.
homesick.
I believe you.
I was
Oh.
like, do I want to go back to Vancouver?
And
or-
you came because it was just economically cheaper?
Yes.
Okay, which I mean makes sense, but again, a painful decision though.
It was.
A painful grown-up decision.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a collective sigh of like resignation for you. That would be tough. I've got two brothers that live in Vancouver.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Well, I have one now.
One
'cause
now.
They moved here.
Oh, okay. Oh, they moved to Calgary? Oh, for the
Then-
same reasons again.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. So now all you guys are here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you guys close too?
We're very close.
Okay, cool. And then Chris number 2.
Yeah, Chris, yeah, it's Chris
Lethbridge.
Yeah.
How long have you been there for?
Yeah, just a year. Like I
Yeah.
don't live here in Calgary, so
Gotcha.
I just visited like
Yeah.
for the flight.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I've never been to Lethbridge,
hmm
but a redeeming element I heard about Lethbridge is you can still see the mountains,
Yes, you can see the mountains.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never actually even driven down to Lethbridge, so it's still like that zone of unknown for me. Is it a nice city from your perspective?
Well, yeah, it's yeah, to me it is.
Yeah.
It's very quiet and
Okay.
peaceful. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm there to I'm in Lethbridge just to study. Like
I see.
for
Yeah.
the university.
Yeah.
The university is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's a very small city.
Mm.
Definitely smaller than
It is.
Calgary.
You've been there too, eh?
Yeah, we visited them over the summer.
Okay.
with my friends.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet, by the way?
Just through Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Online again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
online.
I mean, no one ever meets online anymore. Never. Never.
We're both gamers, so.
Oh, I see. I see. Which game primarily? I asked because recently I met these two guys who were going to Seattle for a gaming convention or something for Mario Smash Bros or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're telling me all about the lowdown and who they're thinking is going to win and who's like the best in the world so far. It was fascinating. Yeah. So I'm like, this is a whole world I'm because I don't game,
Yeah.
which is yes.
I mean, I don't game that much anymore, but
Okay.
back then, like,
Yeah, we did.
You did back then.
Yeah.
I see. So it was like the point. Once upon a time, you shared space together, and then
Yeah.
you've kind of
Discord,
evolved.
actually.
Yeah, Discord.
Oh, okay, okay.
I mean, I have a lot of like online friends,
Yeah.
and it just so happens that like Chris is like in Calgary, and it's like they're like yeah, she's nearby.
Yeah. Very cool. Nice. I'm reading a really good book right now called How to Raise a Healthy Gamer.
Emphasis on the healthy part.
See, it's a world I don't know, but I really appreciated the author. He's a psychiatrist now, but he had a real struggle with online gaming in the way that it kind of basically took over his whole world.
Oh, okay.
And so he has like real lived-in experience in that realm where it's like I guess the part about his book that I really appreciated is it seems like really balanced and nuanced in the way he's saying, hey, here's like the good things that the gaming world offers those who are in it. So it's not all bad per se.
Yeah.
But here's like his main investment is how do you sort of bring balance back into one's life
Yeah.
or help them, like whether they're grown up already and they're still in that zone of like, you know, totally lost in gaming to the exclusion of the real world. He's like, how can you sort of like bring back that balance so that you're in the real world and learning how to engage in the real world while you're also still benefiting in a balanced way with gaming, right?
Because the thing with like online spaces,
Yeah.
especially with gaming, is that you have a community. Like it's
Mhm.
also like a form of community, even if
Sure.
it's only online.
That's a big part of what he
you
was
also
saying.
need like real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Because it can be really easy to get
Lost.
lost and like stuck in like the online world and think that the world is just the online. When
This
it's
is
not.
it. Yeah, he was making at that point where he was saying when you come into a gamer's life and just take it out like cold turkey, you've kind of crippled them because now like they were finding some sense of community
Yeah.
and connection and
Yeah.
value in that space, right? Mind you, like they may be more proficient in this way in a way they don't ever get to experience in the real world because in the real world they're read by a book by its cover, you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to online where you have different ways
It's
of actually.
totally true. I totally
Yeah,
get that. Because,
yeah.
Like, online, and that's why like I find it like I'm very comfortable online.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Like you can be literally be anyone.
Yeah.
Like how you present yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, how you put on your profile.
Yeah,
You don't have to
yeah.
show your face.
Yeah.
You don't even have to use your real name, like your nickname.
And
Exactly.
in that setting, one could probably start finding a lot more about themselves by way of safe exploration, saying, how do
Exactly,
I...
that's so true.
Yeah. So I really appreciated what you were saying that way. How to raise a healthy gamer, yeah.
Yeah, really, a lot of things in life
Yeah.
are about balance. Right?
Very
Mm,
balanced key.
yeah. So in you guys' indulgence in gaming, and I use the word indulgence not in a bad way, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you enjoyed it, right? Like you spent time. Like you said you're not really in it anymore. Was that like a gradual sort of, we're over this now? Or was it like more intentional saying, we need to do other things in life?
I mean, it's because I have like I go to university,
Yeah.
so I have to stop.
Yeah, I think
Like,
adulting just hit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Adulting just hit.
Yes, yes.
Really hard.
Yeah.
When you have like higher like real life
Responsibilities, absolutely.
you have to just like
Oh no.
like take a break or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Go to work, otherwise you don't have a place to live. For
Yeah,
example.
exactly.
Pay the bills, yeah. Since you have entered into the independent zone in adulting, and I'm guessing it's a few years for you both, like, has it been, like, here you are going on a holiday, which is, I'm just not envying, but I'm like, I'm admiring, because you're doing something that I'm one day going to be able to do, but I'm like, I'm just going to drop things and just go for a trip. That sounds amazing, right? So I admire what you guys are doing. But the question is, like, in the midst of adulting and lifing, I guess, have you experienced more of the oof factor and like, oh crap, life is rough, or has it been more of the, okay, this is okay, we can handle this?
It's both.
Both
Yeah,
end.
it's been a mix of both.
Different
Sure.
seasons, eh?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's
Both.
yeah, because it's like for me at least like
Yeah.
it's definitely it's rough
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah,
But it's like how else am I gonna move forward if I get stuck with only thinking about the bad side?
sure,
And it's
sure.
like,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like the fact that I'm able to like rise from like all the obstacles that I've
Yeah,
been facing is
yeah.
like the good part. And like
Mhm.
yeah, and it's
Huh.
yeah, and also there's that sense of agency that you have like once
Ooh,
like when you're like a young adult, like
Yeah.
you're fresh out of like teenage life,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's really nice to have that sense of agency.
Okay, I'm not sure if most get to that place that they realize they have agency.
Oh, yeah.
How did you discover that?
Oh, the fact that like I'm an international student,
Yeah.
so like the rest of my family is back home, like
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, like I'm literally just forced to live on my own.
Mhm.
And there's that. Yeah, like the fact that I have like my own bank account,
Yeah,
like that's crazy
yeah.
to me. I have my own like
Yeah.
money.
This is
that
all
I can
new for
spend.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like going to the like buying groceries like
Yeah.
on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I get to decide what stuff I want to buy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like wow, I'm a person.
It's a big deal.
I'm my own person.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get that. That's really cool. And I wonder if you're savoring it as much as you are because you know what it's like to not have been in that space once upon a time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas most people are like, what's the big deal? They don't realize why it's a big deal, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
And it's especially like very poignant for me because
Yeah.
like my parents, like I'm an only child, so my parents like, yeah, they treasured me a lot. So like I'm pretty sheltered, and like the fact that so like the fact that I realized that I have a sense of agency, it's
Yeah.
like it's much more fitting for me. It's like, oh, I can stand on my own 2 feet.
Yeah. I love that.
No, yeah. I think it's just good to just like hold space for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Take those moments of
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling all those feelings,
Yeah.
and then just deciding what you want to do about it.
Yeah. Okay, I think I have 2 decades plus on you both. But my next question is actually quite real and honest. What's your biggest epiphany in life that's really served you well by way of like, oh yeah, like now that I know this transforms the way I see and take up space in the world?
For me, it's probably like all good things require sacrifice.
Yeah.
It was my mom who said that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like basically it's all about like that you have to get like if you truly want something in
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
you really have to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that means you're gonna have to give up some sense of comfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that has really served me well,
Yeah.
considering that like for the past year I've like as an
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and because I like, you know, I want to finish my degree.
Sure.
I want to like finish my education.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I have to get through like all the stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And because I truly want to
Yeah.
finish my education, I kind of. So it's like, yeah.
So you've come a long way, but like when, yeah.
Thriving and struggling.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm trying to think of the word. Step out of your comfort zone.
Whoa. Which is easy, right? Oh.
So easy.
Simple.
It's,
I mean, you just say it and you walk into
I
it.
was, like,
Yeah.
I was a shy kid.
Yeah.
So like now I'm like trying to just like embrace just being who I am, and also just like being around people that like appreciate who I am, and just stepping out of my comfort zone with things.
I like that. Embracing people who dig you as you are.
Yeah.
I like that. By the way, I was looking at your nail polish. Well done on that.
Thank
It is
you.
pretty good.
Yeah, I've been looking at that gym like that rocks.
It looks good. Is it purple?
It's
Like-
black.
Black, okay. I'm seeing it from this side and I'm seeing it with your purple hoodie. I'm like, oh, God. Cool. Well done. Thanks for sharing. I hear that. I hear that. I'm still reflecting on it. Embracing stepping out of your comfort zone. Embracing them. I had a friend once who said, embrace awkwardness.
Oh yeah, that's also very, very
That
true.
is important.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just part, like being awkward, it's just like part of life. Like,
Yeah.
you can't escape like the awkwardness.
I think
sometimes.
our just like our high school selves always thought it was like cringe or
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
appealing to
Yeah.
them.
But
To
adults
your community.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adults,
Yeah.
still do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just a human thing.
I find those who are able to do so have maybe made peace with the fact that they may not be everyone's jam. So they're okay stepping in that space where they know they might be judged or like ripped apart or whatever, but they've made their peace with that, saying, that's fine. I'm still gonna do X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah, and I think that like has a lot to do with like being comfortable with oneself. Like,
Mm. So
and
true.
like having that sense of self, like you don't
Yeah.
feel compelled to like please people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that means like, you know, being fine with like having your sense of self being intact.
Yeah.
However, like a conversation, no matter how awkward it went, like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
fine with it because like you know
Yeah.
who you are. And
For sure.
it doesn't
Yeah.
take away from who you are, like whatever.
I love when you meet someone who is so, they're not cocky, but they're confident in who they are and how they
Yeah.
show up in the world,
Yeah.
without like I guess acquiescing to
Mhm.
external sort of expectations or whatever. That's really cool.
Yeah, I really like those kinds of people too.
I find that inspiring.
It's rare.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about how I feel I found that space for me. For me, it was decades. So like I'm in my mid 40s now, and for me, like a long time. The thing about me was I was a people pleaser. I was a really competent, functional, accomplished people pleaser. So I could look at someone and I could be like, oh, here's what this person's expectations of me are.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I would go about and fulfill, not only fulfill, but exceed like those expectations. And for a huge part of my life, I was successful in essence, right? However, I think I was bound a lot more internally by like fear that I didn't want to meet people's displeasure. I didn't want to drop the ball on them, basically, right? It's just like, how do I sort of show up in a way where my validation came externally? So for example, let me give you this is a really pertinent example. I've done this for a few years as an Uber driver. I have a really high rating. Like I was a 5.0 for, now 5.0 is nothing to write home about if you have maybe 100 rides under your belt. That's not a lot. But when you're like in the tens of thousands, then it's actually kind of significant, right? Once upon a time, my validation would have been, people say I'm worthwhile, so yay, right? And then when people like give you a really bad review, you're like devastated, even if it's just one.
Yeah.
But something I learned along the way And I'll tell you how I got there. But something I learned along the way was I'm not gonna let the kudos of others or the you know the applause of others ever get close to my sense of worth personally. So for example, like even online, I get a lot of love. I also get a lot of hate too. But regardless, the point is, if I were to just accept the good parts when people are like, yeah, you're doing great. If I learned to do that, then in my economy, when something bad came across the channel, you know, and critique me or whatever, I would also have a corresponding response to that. But when I was able to say, hey, when people give me their input or whatever, I'm going to consider it and for what it is. If it's like the amazing, you're great, I'll be like, thank you. But I'm not ever going to let that ever get close to my affirmation that I'm worthwhile, regardless.
As you should.
In the same way, when bad stuff comes along, way. So when I got like a 1-star review like a few weeks back, well, what I do is I make a big deal about it online. I'm like, by the way, guess what? I got a 1-star. And I have this ecstatic response because I tell them the significance. Here's what this reminds me. Number one, I was never designed for perfection. So just because I had a 5.0, like I never let that get close to me because as a human being, I retain the right to be messy.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm designed. Like, it's not that I do it on purpose, but I want to be able to know that I grow through my fumbles, and I want to know that I'm not expected to be perfect. When I meet my fans here in the city and they come and like, I know you, and they're like, you know, just celebrating me in a beautiful way, I have to remind them saying, by the way, just don't forget, I'm a fellow human being like you, so don't ever put me on that pedestal, in essence, you know what I'm saying? Appropriate your expectations, because I want that courtesy that I'm also granting to you, right? And then secondly, it reminded me that someone had the freedom to express that I wasn't their jam and that I wasn't made to be everyone's jam. So there'll be times when people are like, I just don't dig you. And I'm like, great. I'm happy that you can find the people you dig, and I don't need to be like the right fit for everyone. So that's number 2. And then number 3, it also reminded me that there's something beautiful in the messiness too. In the sense that I can showcase when I'm not on point. And that's probably one of the biggest things I've come to really to savor is once upon a time when I was trying to meet everyone else's expectations, I was trying to be perfect in essence, right? And I mean, I sold it really well and people gave me kudos for it, but do you know what they couldn't do in the midst of their applause? They couldn't relate to me. So they're like, you're amazing, I wish I could be you. And I mean, that sounds nice, but do you know what they were saying? I can't tell you what it's really like to be me. And when I made some really awful and significant face fumbles in my life, they were quite devastating. When I had to like hit that rock bottom that's proverbial, one of the things that came across was, I don't even know what it means to be Binyam anymore. I know what it means to be everyone else, but I have no idea what it means to be me uniquely. And so that was like, what, 8 years ago now, but it started this process for me where I started to say, okay, what does it mean to me, for me to be who I am and how I take up space in the world in essence. And I really appreciated that because now, that reference point where I like showing up and saying, here's what my truth is, what my reality. Oh, these poor guys are stranded in the middle of the road.
Oh no.
Do you know this morning I was driving back and forth here, this whole area was just clogged because we had like a few accidents in this area here.
Oh yeah, I think I saw one.
You did, eh?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was
I
like,
think it was yesterday though.
oh
Or, yeah,
man.
sorry. I think it was yesterday, like when I was
Yeah.
getting like, the bus. Like I saw like there was an accident
Hmm.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. Yeah, at least it looks like they're finishing up maybe-ish, but still, that's not a good day.
I do like that what you said though.
Yeah.
The chasing after perfection.
Right.
Because I really do that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Not in terms of like people's validation. Like
Yeah.
it's more, mine is more
Personal?
like academic.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
like,
see. Yeah,
like when
yeah.
you talk about the
Yeah.
5.0
Yeah.
stars, for
Yeah.
me it's like 4.0 GPA.
Yeah.
That's how I like see perfection for me.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's like, yeah. Yeah, I'm still struggling with that. It's one of the things I'm learning. I'm learning how to let go.
And I was gonna say your people pleasing thing really spoke to me as well, because I still do have those tendencies sometimes, but then I always have to like kind of like check myself and be like making sure that I'm
What's
that I'm
motivating
good first.
for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially when like people I care about. It's
Yeah.
like kind of
Yeah.
I try to sometimes push myself aside and try to like do all I can.
Sure. To extend yourself.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of how it may seem like I flip-flop, but I didn't in my new economy. So I recently came back to driving Uber maybe about a month and a half, 2 months ago. But the previous work that I'd taken on in the meantime, I was working at a warehouse, I was driving a truck for them, eventually I was in management with them. They were a beautiful company, I felt affirmed, I felt seen, they loved what I did. But from the very beginning, I told them, listen, I'm only here for a short time, but I'm going to come back to do Uber because this is where my calling in life is, kind of true story. But like, cool. And towards the end, I mean, when it was only this past summer when I realized, okay, I need to draw this line now and come back to doing this full time, which means I need to leave that company that I've come to love and they've loved me and so on. And it's just a beautiful connection. There's stability, there's consistency, there's just so many beautiful things going on. And it was tearful. Like the owner and I, like we were, in tears when I gave my notice. And it wasn't a 2-week notice per se. It was more like a 3.5-month notice because I needed to bring in others who are going to cover the roles that I'd taken on, etc. And all that's to say, in the midst of all that, I gave them a deadline. I'm like, here's the date that I'm finished, and then I'm going to come do this. And we worked really hard in those 3 months to find the replacements that were going to take over the positions that I'd come to assume. And we worked hard to find those replacements, but it just kept turning out that we thought we found the one, and then all of a sudden it was not the right fit. And then finally we were at the crunch line at the very end, and the ones we hired one last guy, and he came and he was like, oh my goodness, and he didn't work out, and now they're really stuck, right? The other owner and one of the new manager who was taking over for me, they came and asked me saying, hey, could you stay a little longer? And I said, honestly, I've drawn the line. Like, I'm learning to look after me first and foremost. And when I gave my deadline, this is where I have it, because I'm also learning to prioritize my ambitions and my progress in life too. And I mean, we've tried the best we can, and so it's really important to remember that I'm not the success of this company, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are going to survive. It'll be uncomfortable for sure. But then a day later, the other owner and my supervisor came up to me and they're like, Pinium, we're kind of screwed. And I am like, I know. I can see it. And they're like, is there any way you could consider staying?
Yeah.
And I said yes to them. Now, for some who are watching the sidelines, they might say, but that was you flopping back into people pleasing. But I said no, because I'm also very aware of where my priorities are. So the first who asked me, I wasn't as close to relationally. These two, however, were like my dear bosom friends. And I told them the only reason I'm saying yes to you is because I know you know what it costs me in saying yes to you. I know you know the dreams that I have, and I know that you guys already believe in me that I'm going to pursue all these things. I know that you are really biting back and holding back, asking because it's going to cost me. You've already supported me in this way. That my answer is yes, because we have this really deep connection. In the same way that I would for a family member who's like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I'm out and down on my luck here. I'm like, okay, I can understand this scenario here. And so I'm more than happy in my economy to prioritize this over this because this is how my evaluation works, right? So I was able to say a couple more weeks I gave them. And before coming back here. And that's one of the things I'm really grateful for is even as I plan my own course in life, I don't feel like I'm in an urgent mode, like I need to get there yesterday kind of thing. It's more like, no, I'm going to be patient and plotting my way forward. I'm going to try to do things the right way, And one of the big things for me was even as I left my company, I wanted to make sure I left with a good taste in the mouth. I wasn't going to screw them over, for example, right?
Yeah.
And what's happened since then? What's happened since into some of the people that we delivered to. Now these are the people on the road who would call in and who shows up in a bow tie, like who is this guy? He's bringing value in a sense that not many. Now delivery driving, it's just a simple job. There's so many here, but I wanted to distinguish myself in the way I brought value wherever I was. Do you know what I'm saying? So that I was well known in all the circuits. Now that they're definitely noticing my absence, right? But in the meantime, I ran across a few employees of places I delivered at, and I didn't recognize them, but they recognized me. They're like, you delivered out of the location. We love you. You're like our favorite driver. And I mean, these are the kind kind of responses you don't get. You can never pay enough money for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just the kind where it hit a really core place in a person that says, this actually got personal.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that they're going out of the way to identifying and saying, just so you know, here's how you hit with us when you came into our space. Here's the kind of, I guess, here's the aftertaste of what you left behind. And it's a really encouraging, it's meaningful. It reminds me that this really matters, you know? And I remember just saying to like my live stream in the aftermath, I thought they saw that whole thing, like, this just reminds me why it's really important. You never know who you're going to meet, but whenever you have those opportunities, how is it that we can be in this space where it's worthwhile? It's worthwhile. Like, I mean, I'm enjoying this visit with you guys. I feel like I know you much better than when you first got in, you know?
Yeah.
But that's because there's this space that we were willing to inhabit together where we're like, I'm going to give you a piece of me. This piece is really important. I don't give this to just anyone, but I feel the vibe in this moment, and there's a trust that is being incrementally built along the way, which makes it really sweet, I think.
That's really sweet. Very true.
Yeah.
You're definitely giving us a story.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
Giving us
giving
a
us
story.
a story for sure.
Sorry.
Something new. There's something out of my comfort zone.
I'm glad to see you in it, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
It means a lot.
for being our Uber driver today.
It's my pleasure.
So, I have a question for you.
Yes,
What
dear.
made you start the...
So coming back to the ambitions, my core goal in life is I want to market, and that sounds crass, but I want to make a characteristic far more accessible, especially to young men, because I know what it was like when I was trying to figure this out as a young man, and that theme for me is integrity. I want to market, or I want to talk about it in a way that makes it more accessible for other young men who are trying to figure out, how do I do this lifing thing better, you know? And I want to do it in a way where it's not only accessible, but where they also have a desire to experience it for themselves. So that's what's really driving this whole thing. Uber lets me create content. I mean, you don't know this, but I've had a past with Uber. When I was creating, my TikTok channel just blew up, and Uber finally reached out and said, let's do some things together. And it was a beautiful thing. I had news media, you know, reaching out and doing interviews and all the kind of things, which is wonderful, but it expanded my reach. And I was thinking, if I could do this on purpose, where would I point? I don't want to just go passively where people are like, you're this guy, you're the Uber guy. I want it to be active in saying, if you remember me, I want you to remember, what does it look like for young men to live with integrity? And I want to bring a revolution or transformation in society in regard to this. That's what's really driving me. And so this context, I get to create experiences with people. I get to build my platform, gain influence on purpose, you know. And I mean, one of my goals, I'm going to get my dream vehicle, which is a Rolls Royce Phantom. And I'm going to like do that and only drive Uber X, just a base model, so I can still meet everyday people. I refuse to build a platform that's based on who's who. You know, I'm not interested in movie stars or actors or anything like that. I'm just interested in saying, can I showcase amazing people who are regular and ordinary, so that I can model for others how you can also look for those opportunities to connect in meaningful ways with just everyday people, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of like what drove all this is my painful background, saying this is my ouch factor here, and this is why this is really important for me now in the way I take up space to do this on purpose, and saying, can I speak hope, can I speak encouragement to others who are in that zone where they were saying, I wish I had someone who could, you know, reach out to me that way.
I really love that for you. I love that you found that
I love that you have this.
Thank you.
I feel very grateful that we're in the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
no, yeah, I wish so much good for you, man.
Thank you. I feel it.
It's a very
So much.
meaningful life.
Yo,
It-
y'all, if you're
I-
watching, go follow this man.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Go follow this man.
Yeah.
You guys are sweet.
Next
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I'm gonna look for you the next
Yeah,
time I
literally,
go out
I was like,
there.
here's an Uber request them. They request them every
Yeah.
time.
You
When
guys
I
are
saw the
kind.
red tie, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good ride.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's do a selfie out here before we go. Is that okay? And I'll grab your. Oh, my friends are saying hello to you, by the way.
Hi.
Oh.
Squared over here.
Chris squared. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me grab your bags here.
Yeah. Are we gonna take a selfie here?
I think so. Are we taking a selfie in your car or outside?
careful, by the way. It's we can do it outside. Let's do it
Yeah,
outside
yeah,
where it's
sure.
nice and light.
I'll go that
And
way.
then it's a little icy. So just walk
Oh,
step
okay.
there.
No worries.
It's a little icy, so just walk step there. Okay, cash. I would have forgotten all of that. That would have been terrible. Okay. Wasn't that swell, you guys? Oh my goodness, they were great. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really enjoyed my time with them. Let me just make sure. Oh, we got everything all set here. I might just need to do a quick wipe down in the back here. Oh, and there's my next trip. Ah! Okay, so pretty. Let me close this live stream. Awesome, man. Simon, good to see you, my friend. You know this guy from the, yeah. There's some people who will just ignore it. Simon, I'm gonna make you one of my moderators as well, because you are one of my trusted friends from before, and I'd love to have you as a moderator. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll appoint you as one of my moderators. Guys, I'm gonna come back on the live stream here in 3-4 minutes. So come meet me again, okay? See you guys soon.